they got the knowledge you crave. Hard hitting insight gonna make you win. Listen up closely, let the games begin. Top big sleepers every week I spin. The FF universe, it help you win. The fantasy football universe.
Unbelievable. I think we made it. I don't know what's going on here, but look, it's the double FU, the FU times two, the fantasy football universe. We need to run back the intro, I think, to make this official. Let's do it.
Fantasy football minds, no compromise, they got the knowledge you crave. Hard hitting insight gonna make you win. Listen up closely, let the games begin.
What is up? We made it. Week 16 is here. Nothing like going live and having technical issues immediately, having to restart your computer. It is what it is. Hopefully, you can hear me. I, of course, am Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel. We need to win your leagues today here at the Fantasy Football Universe, ready to answer any and every question that you have related to start, sit, decisions. We got some interesting ones. We got Audric Estime, who's going to be a big topic of conversation. Maybe RJ Harvey is not a big topic of conversation, but I think the conversation between these two backs is interesting. I have that decision in a couple of leagues. Michael Carter is another interesting option. There's lots of running backs here that you can play. And of course, you may still need to overcome the Puka Nakuas, the JSNs, the Matthew Staffers who went off on Thursday night. And then maybe you got hit as thankfully I didn't because I had them on my team, but maybe you got hit with those Philadelphia Eagles or the Caleb Williams or a DJ Moore, maybe a stack puts you down bad and you need those big upside plays. Joy Boy, I just referenced it. This is the question of the day. RJ Harvey or Estime. What are we doing here? Let's talk about it. I'll pull up my rankings and just tell you where I am at the moment. Currently, I do lean Harvey, but I feel like Estime is just going to have the bigger day. There's no backing there. Certainly, we don't have any Alvin Kamara to steal touches. We don't have any Devin Neal to steal touches. And it's really just Evan Hull. And I think he's used more sporadically as somebody who's a spell back. But Estime looked not only pretty darn good last week, but explosive as well. Now, RJ Harvey has looked good, but of course, he plays the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And this is kind of the one concern that I have with this matchup and with RJ Harvey this week is that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense has been stingy as crap. In fact, since the Detroit Lions lost it last week, Jacksonville is now the worst matchup for opposing fantasy running backs through 15 weeks. They give it up decently to the quarterback, decently middle of the range, middle of the road to wide receiver. They give up, the eighth most fantasy points to the tight end position, but they are 32 of 32, giving up less than 16 points a game to running backs as a whole. That's really my concern here. For RJ Harvey is that he faces that vaunted Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And it's not just Olakun. It's everybody up the middle. They also have a decent pass rush. They play decently in coverage. And this offense forces teams to pass against them. So I don't think we're going to see anything different today. I think Jacksonville shuts down the Denver offense in the first half. I think they have to go a little more pass heavy. Now, what's nice about Harvey is he can get there in the pass game, but we know Jaleel McLaughlin is the other main option here. He is also a pass catcher. So I got RJ Harvey all the way down at RB22, but Audric Estime at the moment is sitting at RB29. I don't think I move him up. I'm uncomfortable with it, but I still go Harvey here. We're just going to bank on what we saw all season, but I get it. It's a rough one. If you were going to go play Estime, I completely understand that. And he feels more like the ceiling play than RJ Harvey does this week. Now, can good backs get over on good defenses? Yes, we know this is true. We've seen it happen time and time again. I just don't know how this one's going to play out. I will go Harvey, but I will not feel comfortable about it. But that's really the question that I'm wondering myself. Frosty, if Woody is out, let's assume he is. Let's just make things interesting. Assume Woody is out. Nick Chubb has been practicing, but how much of a factor will he be is another question to consider. Play Godwin, Chubb, Jawar Jordan, or Pitts in full PPR. You also have London. If that changes my stance on Pitts, I don't know that it totally does. I haven't really moved Pitts from where I have him based on Drake London potentially playing. I still have Drake London hanging out at wide receiver 18. So obviously, if he's completely healthy, if I'm happy about it, it's a great matchup. If it's Michael Penix in there peppering Drake London with targets, then, I think he's a wide receiver 1. Here, I'm just a little hesitant. I have him below George Pickens at the moment. I have him below Justin Jefferson at the moment. I could see him easily jumping those guys. He could easily be above Ted McMillan and be wide receiver 14 off the jump. And then you got guys like Michael Wilson, like Juwan Jennings, who I have ahead of him this week in smash matchups. So I get it. But in terms of Kyle Pitts, no, it doesn't really change my stance on him. I'm very happy with him. He's currently my tight end 3. against this Arizona defense, it's not scary. So I'm not playing Chubb. He feels like a floor play. I'm probably not playing Jawar Jordan with the Chubb news. But again, this is all contingent on if Woody is out. If Woody plays, then you can't play any of these guys, right? Godwin feels a little like a floor play, but he does have the potential to go off um, in terms of in PPR sense, in terms of getting a crap ton of targets. It's also possible that Horn and Mike Jackson on the outside limit Mike Evans a little bit more and make him just like a slightly less desirable target. That said, I still have Chris Godwin down at wide receiver 29, and I've got Mike Evans all the way up at 9. So yeah, I'm probably going to go with Pitts here. I just think he has a good opportunity. We see his connection with Kirk Cousins. Was he going to do what he did last week without Drake London? No, it was the best. It was the best tight end fantasy game I think in the history of trackable tight end fantasy games. So, um, yeah, you got to stay in the flames with Pitts. I think it's likely he scores a touchdown in this game. Um, and who has the best opportunity to score one touchdown? I'd say it's Pitts of this group. Who is the best opportunity to score multiple touchdowns? I'd also say it's Pitts of this group. Even if you're going with London, I think you got to play Pitts. Playing against the number one team, need to shoot for the stars. I got to tell you, shooting for the stars is not Chris Godwin, Nick Chubb. It might be Jawar Jordan if circumstances were different, but if those guys are playing, yeah, it's going to have to be Kyle Pitts. Will, what is up? Thanks for joining. Down Adams and Rice. Rough one. Picked up Worthy. No, I agree it's not great, especially with what we're dealing with Gardner Minshew as opposed to Patrick Mahomes. You have London and Brian Thomas. I get you don't trust them. Myers is on the wire. I am not at all concerned about Jacoby Myers this week. He's been fantastic in this offense. If you were playing BTJ and Jacoby Myers, I can understand that level of concern. But this offense has been fantastic. And, the Denver defense, as good as the Denver defense is, they haven't been the elite of the elite against really good teams in the last couple of weeks. Patrick Surtain has looked, he was superhuman beginning of the year. Since coming back from injury, he's looked kind of just not quite that. He's still very good, but you're able to get over on him. I think Brian Thomas will be fine. I think Jacoby Myers sees less of Pat Surtain, and on the other side is able to beat his coverage. But it's more of a scheme thing here in Jacksonville than it is an individual talent thing. Certainly, these guys are individually talented in Jacksonville, these wide receivers. But Trevor Lawrence is getting them the ball. They're being schemed open. This is why we saw Brenton Strange working and Parker Washington working when these guys were out. Now that they're back, it seems like Jacoby Myers is the 1A. So I'm going to go ahead and play Jacoby Myers with relative confidence. I'm certainly going to play him more confidently over Worthy. While I think Worthy will experience being open, I think this is a run game. I think they're working the middle. The question is, do you think Worthy is going to score a touchdown? And who has more likelihood to score a touchdown, Worthy or Myers? For me, it's Myers pretty clearly. But I can understand with Rice out, also with Tyquan Thornton out, which isn't a surprise. I think it's the Travis Kelce show. I think there's a run game. I think the backs are a little bit more involved. Maybe Rashard Smith plays a bigger role. Maybe we see a little bit more Noah Gray to help Gardner Minshew. So Xavier Worthy, they're going to try to get him involved. I just like Myers more. And if you're playing both Myers and Thomas, it's a tough one against Denver, but I don't hate it. I would prefer London Myers if that's my situation. Yeah, Godwin on the wire as well. Godwin's a floor play, so it depends what you need. I prefer Jacoby Myers over all of these guys. Drake London excluded. Jelly of the month, what's up? Welcome back. PPR and point per first down. We need 3 wideouts and a flex. So here's what we're working with. We got Rico and Gainwell in. We got London Olave Tet and Juwan Jennings in. So Marks might not play. We have to monitor that. Take a look. If he does play, keep in mind he's left many, many games this season, including a couple in a row recently with injury. He's still nursing whatever injury this is, oblique, heel, knee. I think he's had them all. But Michael Carter is very interesting to me, and I do want to play him. let me check out my rankings in terms of where I have Michael Carter versus Rico Dowdle, because I think that one is pretty close. I get it. We like Rico, the player, but they switch him out sometimes. He's currently my running back 28, and I got Carter up at running back 26. So I do have Michael Carter ahead of him. Of course, I had Chris Rodriguez and Kyle Monungai ahead of both of those guys. So again, not terrible calls, but this is the type of, I guess, production that we're looking into. We're hoping for kind of like a Chris Carter level of production. Now, the thing is, Michael Carter couldn't go off, right? He has that opportunity against a reeling Atlanta defense that has frankly just been bad over the last couple of weeks, especially since they've been completely out of it. We know Arizona's out of it, but Jacoby Brissett and this offensive line keeps this offense cooking. It does not matter. It has not mattered who has been behind that line in terms of running backs. They've all produced when given the rock. So I'm happy and actually would prefer to roll out Michael Carter, but I'm not taking out Jawan Jennings or Olave to do it. And I do like Tetton London this week. So I think I would probably sit Gainwell. I have him the lowest of the group. It's because of that Detroit run D. Like I said, Jacksonville is the worst matchup. Detroit is the second worst matchup, but they had been the worst matchup for weeks. They also just did lose Brian Branch, though, and he had been phenomenal. Not only kind of, playing center field and manning the interior of that defense in the pass game, but also rushing up to the line, stuffing the run, coming off blitzes. He was amazing. Since he was out last week, Detroit gave up a ton against the run. So, is Gainwell a viable play? He's also splitting with Jaylen Warren. We also saw Aaron Rodgers go off, and you can pass, of course, against this Detroit defense. So this is not an easy call for me, but I think what I am likeliest to do here is I'll probably bench Rico and play Michael Carter this week. We know Nick Chuba Hubbard works in, and potentially it's, Tampa scores a bunch, and then we need to be using the backs in the passing game, and that's been more Chuba. I like Rico this week, but I like Michael Carter a little more, as I mentioned. Will, thank you. Good luck to you, sir. Joy Boy. Yes, I would say that Estime is a boom play. I have Estime in about 2 or 3 spots. I got 11 matchups this week that I'm looking at, and Estime in one spot where I'm projected to win by 20, and I just kind of need floor plays. I have him out. I forget who I plugged in there. I think it was maybe like a Jawan Johnson, or I think it was higher than that, though. I'm not going to look at it now, but I had ended up plugging in, a better, more safe back that felt safer to me. But in a matchup where I need a super ceiling play because I played Puka and I sat Matthew Stafford, I'm hurting there. I'm down like 40 points in projections. We're scoring a ton, by the way. This is like full IDP. So there's certainly a chance that I get there, but I'm playing Estime as a boom play. Now, I don't have Harvey in that league, but I have a couple leagues where I do have a Harvey and Estime situation. It's a tough one, man, but is Harvey less of a boom option this week? I don't know. He's a great player. He can break it off. I mean, the Jags defense is not phenomenal. They're not insurmountable. Sean Payton can get over on any defense in the league. He's proven that over the course of his career. RJ Harvey's looked great. But it's hard. There's very few situations where I want to play Estime. Would I say he's more of a boom play? Maybe. I can get there. I understand it. But if I had Harvey in that same situation where I'm looking to estimate a boom, I might play Harvey. Oogle Doogle. Love it. PPR start 2. Estime, BTJ, Waller, Pierce. I can't play Alec Pierce. We saw what happened to Alec Pierce last week, and let me kind of put a bow on it here for you. Let me pull up my half PPR league, as this is what the rankings are based on. Because Phillip Rivers physically cannot throw the football downfield. Alec Pierce saw 1 target last week. He had 1 catch for 16 yards. He's been a phenomenal player. It's not his fault. It's father time has gotten to Phillip Rivers. He cannot throw the ball downfield to Alec Pierce. Now, Alec Pierce has proven to be their best wide receiver. So they need to figure out better ways to utilize him. And against San Francisco, that should be easier than it was last week against Seattle. All of that said, he's out of this equation for me. I'm not considering Alec Pierce because this is the team that has proven time and again they don't need Alec Pierce, especially with Phillip Rivers. They've been using Amir Abdullah in the past game. Tyler Warren, of course. Michael Pittman is there. We got Josh Downs revival. They don't need Alec Pierce. He's kind of a nice to have, and he stretches the defense. But when the defense knows that Phillip Rivers can't throw the ball more than 15 yards downfield, well, then we got a problem. So could he break one? Could it happen? Sure, but Alec Pierce is out. So really, it's down to Estime, Brian Thomas Jr., and Darren Waller. Now, Darren Waller concerns me because of his quarterback situation. Quinn Ewers is awful. Is he worse than Tua has been? I don't know, but I would guess yes. Is he worse than Zach Wilson? I guess not, because they're choosing to play him. But I think this is a situation where the Dolphins and maybe Mike McDaniel, but more so maybe Dolphins GM and management want to see what they have in a lost season with Quinn Ewers to see if he can maybe be some sort of bridge stopgap situation and feed Jalen Waddle and the rest for a year and potentially grow into something. So you have to throw him out there. You have to see what you have. And against Cincinnati, it's a great spot to do so. There's not a lot of pressure. I'm worried about Darren Waller in this matchup. It's a great matchup. I just don't know what Quinn Ewers does. That said, Brian Thomas Jr. concerns me as well. It's the Patrick Surtain treatment. He has been there some games. He has disappeared some games. I'm definitely going estimate of this group, Oogle Doogle, and I'll probably go with Darren Waller over BTJ. That's a tough one. Those two are kind of neck and neck. I will probably lean on the matchup and hope Quinn Ewers can get it to what should be a wide open Darren Waller for most of the game and Miami playing catch up. Mac G, what's up? Need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. You have Judkins, Tet, DK, Mike Evans, and Ladd. I get it. Ladd is a great matchup. I can't do it. The targets aren't there. Quinnen Williams is out of this game. That's phenomenal for the running game here in Los Angeles, which has actually been moving the ball pretty well. Vidal has looked great. Marion Hampton, since coming back from injury, has looked really good. And Ladd just isn't getting the targets. I went over the targets last couple of weeks, but really it's over the last 6 games. Ladd McConkey's targets volume has fallen off a cliff. I can't do it with him. In fact, of this group, even though Judkins can get there on volume, and even though I like Tet, I'm going Mike Evans and DK in a great matchup. That's pretty clear for me at this point, Mac. And let me just give you kind of the rankings where I have these guys. I've got Evans at wide receiver 9. I've got DK at wide receiver 12. At Detroit, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw multiple touchdowns in this game. I would assume one of them is going to DK Metcalf. He's just a massive body. He proved what he can do last week. We know you can throw all over Detroit. We know Detroit is going to score a ton on Pittsburgh. All of these things should coalesce into DK having a really nice day. He's a wide receiver 1 for me this week. I got Ted at 14. I think it's a similar situation for him, although he is coming off a dud. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. So I get it. But for me, Ladd isn't even a consideration. It's sad we're at this point, but you got the Justin Herbert broken hand. You got the awful offensive line. You got the fact that the team wants to protect that, and they've always wanted to run the football. Remember, this is the team that brought in Najee Harris in the offseason and drafted Amari Hampton. That was meant to be the 1-2 punch, keeping Justin Herbert and utilizing the play action properly. But the line fell apart. The injuries happened, and they just couldn't do what they could do. So they relied on throwing the football the first half. Ladd soaked up the targets. He's a great player. But the problem is that the volume hasn't been there in the last 6 weeks. Can he get over on the Dallas D and score? Yeah. But he's going to have to do it on hyper efficiency. And that's not really what I'm trying to bank on. I'm trying to bank on volume, I'm trying to bank on the volume that Mike Evans is going to see against JC Horn and Mike Jackson. He looked great last week. He was a wide receiver 8 last week on ridiculous volume. He didn't score a touchdown, and he was only out there for roughly 50% of snaps and only ran, I think, 20% of routes. 12 targets still. We know that they want to feed Mike Evans. This is another matchup that they can do so. Fire up Mike Evans. He's certainly no worse, I'd say, than a mid-range wide receiver 2 this week. He'll get there on volume. And then DK, I have high hopes for it. Tet is right there, but I feel like Mike Evans and DK are the clear plays for me here, Mac G. Good luck to you, sir, in your playoff. Jelly of the month, thank you. Appreciate you. Oogle Doogle, appreciate you. Yeah, bench and Stafford, man. rough. It was the play. I benched Sam Darnold in a spot and played Mariota. So now I kind of got to play catch up, but thankfully I was well ahead in terms of the projections. So it's much closer than I feel comfortable with, but I get this, man. This is the situations that we're dealing with. I benched far too much Kenneth Walker. I was big in on the Seattle offense, so I have a lot of JSN, big into them in terms of drafting them this offseason. So thankfully JSN has helped to buoy a little bit of it for me. But yeah, man, this is just what we have to deal with right now here in this situation. All right. Doormat, what's up, man? Pickens or Gainwell? Man, I can't sit George Pickens. I can't do it. I get it. Kenny Gainwell has looked fantastic. It's so hard to ignore the way that he's looked. But playing against Detroit, I think this is still a defense that you don't necessarily want to run against. Now, Kenny Gainwell catches passes out of the backfield. We'd love to see that. 7 targets in each of his last 2 games. In fact, this is his target total over his last 5 games. 8, 6, 3, 7, 7. He can get there in the receiving game. We know he can get there explosively in the run game. He feels like a really nice floor option. Doormat, if you need a floor, go ahead and go with Kenneth Gainwell. But if you need a ceiling, I am rolling once again with George Pickens. It's scary. I get it. Los Angeles has been pretty decent to outside wide receivers in terms of not giving it up. Quick note, really quickly, a source says Woody is expected to be out today. Get him out of your lineups. Woody Marks unlikely to play. I'm trying to find out if that is official. It says expect plenty of Nick Chubb, and that is from Ian Rappaport. So we have our answer on Woody Marks. Woody Marks is out. It is Nick Chubb and probably few else involved there. George Pickens, before last week, getting back to you, Doormat, 11, 9, 13, and 9 targets before his 6-target game last week. I know he's looked down on the field. I know the energy hasn't been there. I know CeeDee Lamb takes some away. But against the Chargers, I'm just going to roll with George Pickens. If you're okay with a floor, if you're comfortable at all your other spots, this is your final flex, go ahead and play Gainwell. If you need a ceiling, I want my ceiling to be George Pickens. It's tough, man. I get it. Fernando, what is up, man? Hampton or Dowdle? Pretty sure I have Hampton ahead. Of course, a couple of tougher matchups for sure. The Hampton matchup is against Dallas. In fact, I'm considering moving them up, but I'm not. We know that Woody Marks is out, so I'll make some adjustments here. I got Hampton at 16, and I think I was just that's exactly where I was expecting to play him. Whether Quinn Williams was in or out. Quinn Williams questionable all week, and now he is officially out of this game in the middle. He's been the number 1 run stopper. Now, Demarion Overshawn and Logan Wilson have been really stout in the middle for this Dallas defense. Once Overshawn got healthy and Wilson got traded to the team from Cincy. But I'm not angry about Hampton in the pass game. I'm not angry about Hampton up the middle. If there's anything that this offensive line has left, it's that interior. And with Quinnen Williams out of the picture, I'm going Hampton. He was ranked above Dowdle for me before this news came out. He's continuing to be ranked above Dowdle. It could be a Chuba game. There's definitely a split there. It seems 50-50 in hot hand. I cannot move Rico Dowdle above Tyrone Tracy, above Michael Carter. Aaron Jones in a great matchup. I'm going to trust that matchup and have Aaron Jones ahead of him. Rico Dowdle my RB28, and I've got Hampton all the way up at 16, 12 spots ahead. Will the snap share increase? I don't know. Kamani Vidal has looked really good. Let's talk about Vidal for a second so we can talk about Hampton. Kamani Vidal is played 76, but 69, 64% of snaps. Not really utilized in the pass game, which is nice for Hampton. Of course, Hampton, we know he comes in on third downs as well, but he is running the crap out of the rock. The problem is the last couple of weeks, in tough matchups, granted, but he's looked kind of average on the ground. He still looks explosive, but in terms of his yards per carry, it's 3.14, 2.75. That's certainly not what the team signed up for. I think Omarion Hampton ramps up his usage here as they feel more comfortable with his health. He's been the RB18, the RB36 and half PPR. He hasn't seen the targets necessarily through the air, but 4.3 and 4.07 on the ground per clip in his last two in tougher matchups, 13 and 15 carries. Yes, the snap percentage has been hovering around 35%, but they are giving him the rock when he's in the game. So that's another consideration. I get it with Dowdle, but Dowdle's in the same situation that Hampton's in. And that Tampa matchup is a lot more difficult. Vita Vea is basically Quinn Williams in the middle, stuff in the run. So, and you can throw all over them as well. So I'm going to go Hampton here pretty clearly. I think there's a lot of question marks with Dowdle. I hope he has a good day. I'm firing him up in a couple of leagues. But if I had Hampton there, Hampton would be the clear start for me. So I get it. Guys, if you got your answers here and you want to head over to TikTok, just click this QR code. You can go talk to Jesse Moeller. He's got a bunch of questions in the chat right now. You can get in on that action. Also, if you go over there while you're over there, if you appreciate the content, please follow us there. We're trying to grow that channel. We're trying to grow this channel, not only on Twitter, but also on YouTube. So if you appreciate the answers you're getting here and you would drop us a follow, we would appreciate that a ton as well. I'll wait for some other questions here. And while I do, I'll just talk a little bit about some of the things that I'm thinking here at the different positions while we have a little bit of time. I got Brock Purdy as QB3. I think he chucks it all over the yard against Indy. I think CMC gets there in the pass game over getting there in the run game. Maybe a little bit of both. Obviously not concerned with him at all, but I do like Brock Purdy as a massive play. You got Jacoby Brissett, both of those guys above Dak at QB4. It's Jacoby Brissett's season, balled out against Houston late, hitting those tight windows, kind of making Trey McBride viable. Now he gets Marvin Harrison Jr. back potentially. We're going to find out ahead of game time if that's the case. But if it is, it's wheels up for Jacoby. The run game is a little suspect. At least those guys can catch the ball as well out of the backfield. Kobe can run it if he has to, and that Atlanta defense is reeling. Also got Jackson Dart up at 8. But not ahead of Jared Goff or Joe Burrow, who put up pretty much a donut last week. That's what we're looking at for a top 12. And J.J. McCarthy almost snuck in there. He's my quarterback 13 this week. He's been a top 10 option the last 2 weeks. At running back, guys, I like, the usual suspects. Travis Etienne up at 9. It's really hard to, I know it's a tough matchup. It's really hard to deny that he can get there through the air and the ground, but also that Bashal Tootin is out of this game. If you think LaQuint Allen is taking significant snaps away from Travis Etienne, I've got another thing to tell you about. So yeah, Woody Mark's officially out now per Schefter. It's not going to be official until an hour and a half before the late games, but you can take Woody Marks out of your lineup now and make those decisions. I got Bucky at 10. I think he scores against Carolina. I know Sean Tucker's the goal line guy, but I'm going Bucky here. And then Derrick Henry, I got all the way up at 14. You got to ride that big dog in December and pray for a touchdown. Hope for 2. At the wide receiver position, Jameson Williams is my wide receiver 8. I don't care. This is where he always belonged. This is who he always was. And Dan Campbell unlocked him. And his quarterback is my QB7. I've got him well above Justin Herbert this week. I'm not sure where I have Herbert. Feels too low. I did end up moving him up to 12. Obviously, it's a great matchup. But I got Jared Goff at 7. It's a great matchup for Goff as well. This one feels easy to me, because I think Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers, what he did last week, and that run game, I think they keep pace with Detroit and force Detroit to throw the ball the entire time. You could also say that about Dallas against Herbert. The thing about Dallas is that defense has been a little bit better than usual. That Pittsburgh defense has not put it together. And of course, we have a much better offense in Detroit than we do in Los Angeles. So similar situations here. I think both decent plays, but I think Goff has the upside you want, and all his pieces, absent Sam Laporta, are healthy and ready to go. It's Jared Goff for me. Pretty clearly, Jack. Not an, and I don't mean it's an easy decision. I just mean I think he's got the upside and the floor that you can utilize this week. Mike Evans, as we talked about at 9, I got Michael Wilson at 11. I'm going to push him down to 13, but not much further. That's with MHJ potentially coming back. Um, yeah, it's hard. That means Juwan Jennings is my wide receiver 12, a top option with Ricky Pearsall out. I think they absolutely smoke Indy in the passing game. As I said, Brock Purdy's my QB3. George Kittle, of course, is going to have a massive game, I think, as well. Maybe I'm manifesting there, but obviously you want to play your studs here. DK at 11, like we just talked about, and now Chris Olave, of course, at 10. Going to be an absolute stud. Ray Gamer, what's up? Jefferson or Egbuka in non-PPR? 6 points per tutty, 4 point per TD bonus. You got to go Jefferson. Great matchup. Has never gotten there. Egbuka, there's just too many mouths. He's got to live off efficiency. He will, but Jefferson will have the target volume. Justin Jefferson scored last week. There was some sort of illegal formation penalty that took his points and his touchdown off the board, and like someone else like TJ Hawkinson or some crap scored. So Jalen Naylor probably. Egbuka could go off. It's certainly possible. I get this situation. I'm not doing it. We're talking about we need the touchdown. Yeah, it could be Egbuka on the other side of Mike Evans. Just, feeding him. Carolina keeping pace, possible. Tampa Bay gives up a ton in that secondary. Maybe Bryce Young has a good game. I think all of these things are likely. I'm still going Justin Jefferson. We know he's a stud. We know he's wide open. It falls to JJM to get him the football. The New York Giants also are not generating a crazy pass rush, although Abdul Carter looked phenomenal last week. So same Chargers O-line is in shambles. Yeah, I get it, man. That's how I feel about it as well. We're going Goff. Right. Burrow or Lamar in 6 points. I'm going Burrow regardless. I'll go Burrow in 4 point. I think Burrow goes off. T is playing. We're playing who? Miami. Not scared of Miami. They're fine. They're not anything to be terrified about. I think Burrow kind of lays to rest the questions that a very good Ravens defense put on him last week with 0 points. Now, Lamar in 6 point, yeah, he just hasn't done it. Can Lamar do it? Yeah, I feel like he could do it. I feel like he should do it. Agree with you. Maybe the Bengals don't need to throw. It's certainly possible. I'm betting on the fact that Joe Burrow comes out and dominates in this game. I know they don't have to. I know there's nothing to play for, but I've got Burrow significantly ahead. I think I got Lamar at like 11. I got Joe Burrow hanging around 6. So that's where I am with it. I'm banking on those touchdowns. Jamar Chase coming through. T. Higgins getting back in the fold, having a good game. Of course, you got Mike Gesicki potentially involved, and whoever the number 3 is, who's wide open because everyone else is covering T and Jamar Chase. Sometimes those guys get involved, and I think Chase Brown can get there in the receiving game, also in the run game. It's not an easy decision. I totally get this, but it's the decision I'm going with. Yeah, and they could score too much in the first half. We just don't know how it's going to go. Jared, what's up? 2 running backs, Javonte, Chase Brown, Hampton. I've got Javonte over Hampton. You have to play Chase Brown. That's really how I'm looking at this situation here. Let's see where I have them all. I got Chase at 12. I got Javonte at 13. I got Hampton at 16. So I get it. We talked about Hampton being a very interesting play simply because Quinn Williams is out. That opens up this run game and turns Dallas into what they were at the beginning of the season, which is just hemorrhaging points to running backs, especially up the middle. The problem is this offensive line in Los Angeles isn't fantastic. So Dallas is coming a long way. Demarion Overshawn now healthy, Logan Wilson back. So I don't think Hampton goes nuclear here, but I think he has a good game. I just don't think he has as good of a game as Javonte and Chase Brown do. I do have them in that order, Brown, Javonte, Hampton. Jack, start Theo over Fannin. I'm not. Yeah, Theo could have a good game. Brown should be playing from behind. I'm rolling with Fannin. Let's see where we have them ranked. David Njoku out again. Fannin is the focal point of this offense. That's kind of the one thing I'll say. Theo's been really good. He's hyper athletic, which is what we like, especially for those run after cat situations. But Fannin is that guy as well. And he's been the focal point of this offense for a month and a half now. Shador Sanders coming in has only amplified that because he's not really getting the ball to anyone else. And against Buffalo over the middle, I'm not sure on Terrell Bernard's status, so I'll double check that. He's missed the last couple of games. But if he is out, it really kind of opens things up in the middle of the field. All right, he'll play. So that's interesting a little bit. I'm still playing Fannin. I'm not moving him down. He's my tight end 7. We've got Theo Johnson at 15 against Minnesota. If Minnesota has anything, they got safeties and they got interior linebacker play on the defensive side. They're kind of stacked at those positions. Everything else is difficult for them. So Theo Johnson for me, I think he'll have a decent game. I think Fannin is the guy that you want pretty clearly, though, Jack. And again, I say clearly because we're talking about being the focal point of an offense. The target volume should be there. Let's put a bow on it by telling you what Fannin has done over the last few weeks. Let's do the last 2 weeks because it's so telling. 11 and 14 targets. We know these are with Shador Sanders starting at quarterback. The tight end 1, the tight end 14, simply because last week, even though he caught 7 balls, he only went for 48 yards. That was against the Chicago defense that has been getting better and better. We saw what they were able to do yesterday, do enough, right? This Buffalo defense is kind of trending the other direction. I think we see another double-digit target game, and we're talking about double-digit targets. That's the guy I want to bet on. Theo Johnson, on the other hand, 4, 5, 8, and 4 targets over his last 4 games. Now he's getting there with the yak. He is not getting into the end zone. Give me Fannin, and I have him separated by about 8 spots, as I mentioned. That's where I'm going to go pretty clearly here. Guys, we've got about 4 minutes left. I see no more questions in the chat. That's about it. I'm going to get out of here. Really good luck to you and everyone who you want to go off this week. It's week 16. We got to get to the ship to win the ship. So let's do it. Win this week, and you're in the money in pretty much every league I know of. So good luck to you. I'm going to go now and finalize my lineups, lock them in, and get that money. Good luck to you. Good luck to me. Good luck to everybody. Let's win some ships. Jack, appreciate you, man. Good luck. Go ahead and get those points. We will see you later. Love it. Love it. Dominate. See you next week.
FFU. FFU.